last lap. Look at Tracy. Tracy's got down the inside of Jimmy Vasser this time, and he makes the move stick. It's into 5th place now for Paul Tracy, and now he's got to go chasing after the others. He's got the fastest car out there, I think, at the moment. His last lap was a 25.7, although that seems a bit odd because he's actually down as being slower than Vasser on the last lap, and he's just gone past him, so that seems a bit peculiar. But that will probably clean itself up on the computer in a moment. Meanwhile, Franchitti's lapping quickly. He's in the mid-25s, and he's opened up a 2.7 second lead over Patrick Carpentier. Then it's Zanardi, then de Ferran, and then Tracy. So Paul Tracy now has got Gilles de Ferran in his sights, and there you could see as Greg Moore is back out in the battle again, but he's dropped down. You can see Gilles de Ferran's Valvoline car just running ahead now of Paul Tracy.
2.8 seconds of lead now for Dario Franchitti. He's pulling away out in the front. Again, beautifully consistent. 25.5. His last 4 laps have been almost identical to 100ths of a second. Just a fabulous effort.
This is great stuff. Is Franchitti, well, let's not say it. Franchitti's leading at the moment. Carpentier second. Zanardi in 3rd place, and he's got these guys bearing down on him a bit, de Ferran and Tracy. But Tracy, now that he's got to this distance from de Ferran, doesn't seem to be closing in quite as quickly as he was just a few moments ago. Once you get into that traffic, once you get into the slipstream of another car, it does prove difficult to overtake even on the oval here. And Tracy's going to have his work cut out. But up front, as you can see, Franchitti still leading the gap. 2.9 seconds last time around. His lap time at 25.7. Carpentier lapping just a 1/10 of a second slower on the last lap, but it's not enough to close up the gap to the race leader. A lot of bits of paper and rubbish still down there on going into turn 1. As Gilles de Ferran still just has the edge over Paul Tracy in this battle for 4th position. Still the laps counting down. 27 to go.
Yeah, everything. Oh no, Dario Franchitti is slow.
Oh no, I don't believe it. Dario Franchitti has suddenly slowed down on the start-finish straight. Franchitti, who was leading, who was looking in such great shape. What on earth has happened to Dario Franchitti? He should have plenty of fuel aboard. He made a perfect pit stop. And Dario Franchitti slows down as he comes down start-finish. The yellow lights will be coming on, the yellow flags. And Franchitti, tragically, is out of the battle for the lead of this race. It means that Patrick Carpentier in the Alimax car now leads this race. But it sounds as though a gearbox problem. It's a gearbox problem apparently for Dario Franchitti. I cannot believe it. I'm looking out of the commentary box window right opposite where he's pulled in. And, well, he's just getting out of the car now. And as Patrick Carpentier continues to lead, Franchitti, the depth of disappointment that he must be feeling, well, I think it's actually reflected up here in the commentary box as well, because we were so looking forward to Franchitti scoring well here. He walks away from the car, but Carpentier is now the race leader.
Boy, that's a shame, isn't it? It's hard not to be disappointed for such an amiable young man who has just driven brilliantly all week here.
So with 23 laps to go now, it's Patrick Carpentier who leads, and that's still a pretty major story in itself. He's another youngster in his first season of racing in this championship. He came from the Toyota Atlantic Series, the French-Canadian, and a likeable young guy who's also got on a tremendous opportunity here this afternoon. Another one who's been quick all the time, qualified well, and now running up in front of Alex Zanardi. Now, I wonder if Zanardi can do anything dramatic in the closing stages. Just watching the telemetry from Andre Ribeiro's car, interesting to see just how high the G-forces are. Speeds up to 215 there, you see, just before he turned into the first corner, and then going through that corner around 160 miles an hour, building up the speed. Now just watch the top speed up the back straight here, just over the 200 mark again into turn 3. And in fact, the speed's sort of climbing a bit more. That's a more genuine figure of just over 200 miles an hour as they go up that back straight into turn 3 and pulling 4G as they go through the corner. It really is massive loading on the drivers here.
That's a heck of a... they'll know they've been in for an afternoon's work when they get done with this race, even though quite a bit of, due to the weather and other instances, have been run under yellow. It's still been an immense strain on these drivers and of course the cars, which are told there on Dario Franchitti's car. And let's not take anything away from Patrick Carpentier or the Alimax crew. Tom Brown, the engineer from Scotland, ex of Penske of course, many years with Penske Racing, moved across to Tony Bettenhausen, and that team has been really rejuvenated this year. Nothing against Stefan Johansson and his guys, of course, from last year, but they've really restructured that team. They have more support than they ever had when Stefan Johansson was driving, and Patrick Carpentier has driven magnificently. He's lapping very, very consistently, around about 25.9, 26.0, and he's got a second lead over Alex Zanardi, but there, of course, is a spoiler between them, Raoul Boisel's car.
Yes, Raoul Boisel, who's still some 5 laps down from the leaders, but still running around at their sort of pace. There is Carpentier, and so he's got a little bit of a buffer between himself and Zanardi in second position. Now, whether Zanardi's going to try anything spectacular in the closing laps, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if we will see anything too spectacular, because Zanardi's looking very mature this year and is really looking towards the championship. There is the excitement down in the Bettenhausen pit. And it looks as though they're close on fuel. The story is that they are looking very, very close on fuel. That's why there's some anxious-looking glances down there in the Bettenhausen pit. And they're not quite sure whether he's going to be able to make it all the way if it stays green flag to the checkered flag. 17 laps to go. What he needs is a yellow flag. That would certainly make it safe for him. But that would also close everybody else right up behind him.
Yes, indeed. He's lapping very consistently 26s. He was doing 25s earlier on, high 25s, 25.6 or 25.7. Now 26.0. He's just hoping he can just light foot the car, let's say, and try and keep the main momentum up through the corners and not scrub off too much speed through the, not scrub off too much speed, so he has to build it up again coming out of the corners.
Zanardi trying to use the traffic to find a way past Raoul Boisel, but he still hasn't managed to do it. It looks about the only way he's going to get past the Brazilian is to try and use traffic, just get the slipstream a little bit more effectively than Boisel is doing so far, and then nip past, and then he can go chasing after the race leader Patrick Carpentier. Meanwhile, Paul Tracy is in 4th position at the moment, behind Gilles de Ferran. Gilles de Ferran still running in 3rd. That's a good effort from Gilles de Ferran this time. He's run a consistent race. It hasn't been quite one of the pace setters that we've seen him be earlier on this year, but what he has done is really kept it all together beautifully this time, and he could be on for a podium finish. That would be a suitable reward for the hard work that he's put in so far this year and the hard work from the Walker Racing team. But nobody at the moment has got an answer for Carpentier, except perhaps the fuel pump, because if it stays green flag racing all the way, he is going to be very, very tight on fuel. And we could see the consternation in the crew camp just a few moments ago, but he can't afford to back off. He cannot afford to try and run more economically, because Zanardi is not far behind.
No, and no doubt the Alimax crew there is cheering for Raoul Boisel. Just stay where you are, stay where you are, don't let Alex Zanardi pass. But Alex Zanardi has got to run off turn 2. He's looking at the inside into turn 3. There goes Alex Zanardi. It's not for position, but that's a very, very significant pass.
Now he's into clear air. Now he can go chasing after Patrick Carpentier with some 13 laps to go. Is Carpentier going to come under pressure from the winner at Long Beach, Alex Zanardi? Meanwhile, Paul Tracy's making a move on de Ferran. He goes up into 3rd place now. De Ferran drops back into 4th position. So Tracy still scoring points for the championship. Don't forget, the top points leader de Ferran has a little look at coming back at him. Into turn 3, side by side. De Ferran gets back at, no he doesn't. He has to back off. Tracy ever so brave round the outside into the corner. De Ferran couldn't quite hold him off, but what a tremendous battle. Great to see passing and then attempted repassing. It's not all over. Once they make a pass, they can still come back at you, as Zanardi now chases after Patrick Carpentier. But Carpentier's last lap at 25.9. Let's see what Zanardi can do in clean air this time around. I don't know if it's going to be enough. No. Carpentier really is going quickly.
He certainly is. That last lap around, certainly Alex Zanardi was only a 26.7. He lost quite a bit of ground actually to Patrick Carpentier last time around. So we've still got a lot of racing on here.
This lap it's only a 1/10 of a second, but again Zanardi a 1/10 of a second slower than Carpentier. So Carpentier still been able to increase his lead by a tiny margin. It's at 2.3 seconds his advantage over the Italian. Tracy then in 3rd place, and if anything, Zanardi's going to have to worry more, I think, about Tracy behind him than he is about Patrick Carpentier ahead of him. Look at the view from the back of Alex Zanardi's car as Paul Tracy begins to close up, catch up We're within 10 laps to go, 9 laps to go now. Still the consternation, looking at the computers, looking at the fuel mapping, trying to see whether he's going to make it. I don't quite know why they're worrying so much. There's little they can do about it from in the pit lane. They've just got to hope, they've just got to cross their fingers and hope that Carpentier is going to make it through to the finish. And meanwhile, we've got the battle between Zanardi and Tracy that we saw at Surfers Paradise. And when they both took each other off, I just hope that they don't do that this time. Zanardi with a slight advantage. Round he comes, out of turn 2. Tracy into the slipstream, has a little breather, has a little look from outside the slipstream. But I think what he's trying to do here is to build up the speed through turn 3 and 4. Look at the speed of the Penske through turn 3, coming out of turn 4. He's almost alongside on the exit of the corner. He was almost too quick through there for his own good, because Zanardi was able to just stay ahead into the corner. Oh, Zanardi tries to keep with him around the outside. Fantastic racing. This is pure racing on an oval track, and Zanardi just maintains the advantage.
Fantastic. That is what oval racing is all about. Just sensational driving by both these drivers. Alex Zanardi not giving an inch. It's awfully difficult to make a pass. I think, you know, Paul Tracy really mistimed it, didn't he? He was too fast through turn 4, and he was too close to Zanardi's gearbox. I think he probably had to lift out of the throttle just a little bit. So he'll just regroup himself now, try and do that again, and just make the run a little bit later so that he can get the momentum on Alex Zanardi down the front straight. But we've got, what, 6 laps to go now. If Patrick Carpentier has a fuel, he has the race in his pocket, and but Paul Tracy, he's not about to give it up just yet, is he?
No, he isn't. He's still chasing after Alex Zanardi now. He's got within range, and if he can do what he did last time and be really quick into turn 3, but not so quick this time that he overruns Zanardi in the middle of the corner, then he's going to have a great shot. Watch him into this section. This is where Tracy's got the advantage. Now, if he times this right this time, he could get the slipstream. This is good. This time he's timed it perfectly, and this time Zanardi can do nothing about it. Tracy goes through on the inside. Now, that was how you time a move. He got it just right that time, and Tracy is into second place. He's chasing after Patrick Carpentier. 3.5 laps to go here. Can Tracy catch up to Carpentier? You can bet he's trying. He's a racer to the end, and he's closing up to another Canadian. The 2 Canadians doing battle for the win in this race, and they're catching up to slower traffic as well, just to make the equation even more complicated. Into turns 1 and 2. Through they go. Tracy gaining ground through turns 1 and 2. There's no doubt about it. Tracy's on a charge here. He's got to have the speed. We know how quick he is on this section of the track. Just watch him go into the corner. Watch him close up as they go through the mid part. He's got to be careful not to overrun him, but now he's going to have the opportunity. He's going to go for the inside, surely, into turn 1, down on the dirty stuff. Carpentier, they squeeze together, and Tracy goes into the lead. He gets past Carpentier. There's just 1.5 laps to go here. Tracy takes the lead of this race in the last couple of miles. Fantastic. He did it in Rio through misfortune to Bobby Rahal, but he's done it here at Gateway through sheer brilliance, through sheer driving skill. The white flag waves. It's the last lap here. Patrick Carpentier is in second. Zanardi is in third place. De Ferran in fourth. Jimmy Vasser is fifth. Guterman is sixth, but all eyes are on Paul Tracy. He's just got to get through the final turn now to take his hat-trick of wins. What a performance from Paul Tracy. A brilliant drive. Absolutely superb. He comes through, he takes the checkered flag, and the championship leader makes it 3 in a row for the Penske team. Fantastic. And Roger Penske, I don't think he can quite believe what he's just seen.
That was magnificent. There's Al Unser Jr., of course, with Roger Penske. Al out of the race, but cheering on there for his teammate, Paul Tracy.
Just look at the excitement within that car. That was one of the best closing stages to a race I've seen for a long time. Fantastic achievement still for Carpentier. You have to feel for him, Jeremy. I mean, he was leading up brilliant. He drove so well today. The youngster in his first season, 25 years old, but only in his 6th ever IndyCar race, the kart series race, and he drove brilliantly, and he didn't make any mistakes. When he saw Tracy coming up, he knew he couldn't beat him on this occasion. Didn't make any mistakes, and he can settle for a great second. But look at that, Tracy's just lighting up the rear tyres as he comes into the pits. He is really happy about that one.
That was just a fabulous drive by Paul Tracy, by all these top drivers, really. I mean, gosh, all the top 10 drove pretty good races, but what just a spectacular drive. I bet Patrick Carpentier couldn't believe how quickly Paul Tracy came up behind him there. Absolutely nothing he could do. He pulled to the inside. I guess he could have pulled across a little bit earlier, but I mean, Paul Tracy was down on the dust there on the inside of the line, and boy, that was a big risk, and gosh, what a fabulous drive.
Super stuff. You still, don't forget, have to feel for Dario Franchitti, who was leading up until the last stages. But just look at that and listen to the cheering. I tell you what, I don't think Chris Pook could possibly have believed that he would have a race like this in the debut